Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with my boys PD and Cal. Say what's up, guys.
What up?
Ready to rock.
So today we're talking about what if. What if? This comes from the Marvel Comics. What if that would give you different versions of different stories of characters, and what if they were something else or had certain powers or their histories were changed. So Marvel takes this on with the very first what if with Captain Carter. What if she were the first Avenger? And hey, what happened, how this impacts on the whole universe. Of course, we have to take a look at what happened in the Loki series, because we start there with the whole branching of the multiverse, where we start seeing, he, because of their killing of he was the last, I guess, of who he remains, and they don't take over, which they should have done. It basically shows a whole bunch of branch timelines, and this basically is one where it happens. And in this timeline, we definitely see Peggy Carter stepping up to becoming the first Avenger, and we're going to see others coming forward. So, gentlemen,
Well,
how did you end up? Sorry.
Yes, that you can draw that line. I don't think Marvel do you feel that they said it though? That they seem like they had the line in where this comes in there where they announced the series, but I don't feel like they initially said it, because this is like still on the what if, not saying, oh, it created everything. This is kind of,
they've already kind of set up a thing where they're talking about there's going to be some type of joint group. Some of these guys are going to come together to take on Ultron.
Stop it.
I'm telling you, this is not me. I'm telling you what they're saying. If you've been reading this stuff,
Stop
this is what
it.
they're saying. So, there's going to be, they're going to come together. So you may not like it, but this is what it's going to show up. Okay. So they're building like a whole nother team. They're going to get them all together. There are people here. And I'm not sure how they're going to work it out, because theoretically these should be different isolated incidents or different changes. I don't think that unless it's all in the same world. I don't know. But here, guys, you saw the episode. I'm gonna start off with Cal. What was your take on it with them kicking it off with Peggy Carter?
Animation, very good. Story, really light. Weak sauce. Wasn't a big fan of the story overall.
Wow.
The whole idea is Captain America, Steve Rogers, is a singular individual. All right. Steve Rogers is not the average person, and he holds the distinction of being one of the few, if not the only person, who gets the super soldier serum and doesn't turn into a flat out nut, become some sort of villain, anti-hero, going around killing people, can't handle the power. So you put that power into the right person's hands. And, Steve Rogers gets trained. We expect Captain America to move a certain way, all of that stuff. Peggy Carter is not Steve Rogers. She's not Captain America. So what I was hoping is that, all right, she gets the super soldier serum, but her situation shouldn't be, letter for letter what happened with Steve Rogers as Captain America. The second I saw with that shield and he gave it to her and I see that Union Jack, I was like, okay, I'm out. No, Cap shield is supposed to be an American thing at the end of the day. You got, okay, take a breath. I'm down. It's a little bit different. But then you're like, no, she should have had some stuff that was going to be singular for her. She's using a shield just like him. She's moving just like him. Okay, all of the same beats at the end of the day, and you're supposed to be a different person. This is what if Peggy Carter, okay, was Captain America. Not what if Steve Rogers was a girl. So I thought they dropped the ball with that. They could have come over here, given her a better outfit. Decided, okay, what's Peggy's approach to this? Okay, Steve's a dude. Okay, she's a chick. What's the chick's approach to this? Is everything exactly the same? Everything? I guess there's no difference there. So if that's the case, what do I need? There's no what if. It's pretty much going to be the same for anybody, right?
I think if you see, I kind of totally disagree with you.
Wait a second, you can get into that. Let me give my thoughts on it before you try to tear apart it. Just put a pin in it. Keep a pin in it, all right?
No, I'm taking out my sword. That's what I'm doing right now. And my Uzi, just to make sure it's taken care. And for long range,
remember we had to do this show first before we get into
my 50 cal, just to make sure I got it all. I got them
remember
all.
We just did an episode where we at least got through the initial thoughts without tearing each other apart.
I'm not tearing anybody apart. I'm just making sure I'm whooping up, because
we agreed a lot on that.
That egg.
Well, I want to say that
thank you for supporting me, PD, once again. I agree with you 100% with that.
Let me finish what I'm saying, okay?
I thought we
Uh,
were simpatico, bro. Are you
I
being
didn't
there
finish
or
what
not?
I say. I didn't start even saying anything yet.
I
So
can hear what's emanating.
stop,
From you right
stop it. Just stop.
now. I'm playing out the sword for you too, bro.
Stop.
Keep it up.
Okay, this series here is this episode was enjoyable. But the
Thank you.
one thing
Oh, well,
I'm not done.
hallelujah.
Stop cutting
Praise
me off. Stop cutting
Speedy.
me off. Stop cutting me off. All right. But at the same time, what if to give the fans, the comic book fans, and the fans like a door into what if for many sort of things, even though Marvel had a lot of tragedy in it, it was very much a cautionary tale of what could happen in these other timelines to make us feel like, well, we wouldn't want it to change. Now, ultimately, sometimes they would do stories where you would show that some characters without their powers would still have the hero moments, and you can see that done even on the DC in comparison to Marvel, because DC had imaginary stories. But with Captain Carter, you don't need to do that because we know she got 2 seasons of her own show. So we know if she got the power and everything worked out perfect, she would be fine as a hero. So it's nothing proven unless you think that women couldn't do it. And we already got too many Marvel heroes. So I would say it's enjoyable, but they didn't give us anything different and anything that changes. I think in the first What If story, where it's the positive of Bruce Banner getting the Hulk's mind, at the end there's a tragedy that happens to the Thing, and then they are in a place where they can't sort of stop the Thing anymore because of what's happening. So it's like that sort of thing where they had some that ended on positive notes, like Daredevil, the Fantastic Four, but a lot of them were very much cautionary tales. And some of them worked as far as whatever the narrative was. If the narrative is heavily dark, it would go positive. If the narrative had like Fiery Victory, like the X-Men, or some tragedies, it would go even worse. Like the Phoenix, what if the Phoenix lived went way worse, like that sort of thing. So one of the things I think to give the fans or give the watchers, the people that are watching this series, something else, they needed to do something different, to say this is different outside of providing them with, because he says that the Red Skull says the champion of the board becoming a Hellboy story, where it's like, oh, we're fighting these big what's the name, Lovecraftian monsters. And I would go to what Cal was talking about with the outfit. Like, remember, the true outfit of Superman is just a gag. So it's like, hey, here's a simple design with the S just plastered on it because it's a spoof. They kind of just say, hey, let's take Captain America's outfit and just put the British flag on there. So let's call the Uni Jack on there. So let's just do it like that. So I think and ultimately, even though I feel the first Avenger was very much an intro, it wasn't a full movie on its own. It was more an intro to the Avengers. I think what they did do, which I wasn't too happy about, was initially, but in watching the movie, I was like, hey, this is the idea of like verisimilitude. Like, they didn't have Cap do crazy, ridiculous stuff. They did the Cap that possibly in the comic books. They didn't have him, they had him running, leaping, that sort of thing. He didn't do things that were that extreme. Captain Carter, here's a car. I'm lifted at full speed. And this is like, it's you just lifting it and flipping it over. So it's just like they're really going with the movie, the Avengers Endgame Cap strength, because it wasn't really suggested in the first movie. The first movie, he was definitely tougher than everyone on the block. And it seemed like the Cap we got in the comic book that is a little bit stronger than humans, obviously the best human fighter possible with some strength, but he was kind of like, later he became like the Kirby Cap that kind of had super strength, probably stronger than Spider-Man. Captain Carter is clearly stronger than Spider-Man, the stuff she was doing, but it's
Stronger than the Hulk.
so it's one of those things where I think they went a little too far. What they did, it was cool for animation, but it's like they didn't really go to the shield being the thing that can really stop that with her strength. Who knows? But I think that was kind of not really matching, where they could have went to a totally different story instead of turning the Red Skull into and Rasputin from Hellboy.
Peggy
Mars.
Carter, Peggy Carter versus Cthulhu.
Mars.
Cthulhu should win.
Wasn't she fighting that octopus creature for Doctor Strange?
That's Cthulhu.
No, not Cthulhu. I'm saying, what's the name of the creature they're talking that may be coming up in the Doctor Strange movie?
Shumagorath?
Shumagora, yeah.
I don't think so. Shumagorath is a humanoid form.
I thought he was like an octopus with a big eye.
No.
Yeah, I think it's Shumagora's octopus. But look, the point I'm trying to get to.
Changed.
Look, this was actually pretty excellent. I thought it was a great start off to the whole multiverse saga. Yes, I get it's the whole point is that they're saying what happens when one thing happens. You know, Steve, she's in the room. The key thing is she's in the room when she wasn't. She goes there. They get this guy. She kills the assassin. She has to jump in because Steve can't do it. And bomb, she's transformed. And then she's transformed into a warrior. And they have to take things into their own hands. And she becomes Captain Carter. You know, not Captain Britain. Yes, they did give her the uniform. I don't think that's a big deal.
You said it, I didn't. Captain Britain. You said it. None of us said it. None of us said it, but you said Captain Britain.
That's what I thought she was going to be when it happened.
Said you was Captain Britain. I am Captain Britain. Thank you. We didn't go there. Thanks, Mars.
Okay, so like I was saying before, so I don't think that's a big deal that they decided to go with the Captain Carter name versus, because it was an American program, right? The American program that she's in, she just happened to be a British agent who was working there. So
why isn't Captain America Captain Rogers then?
I said because I think they didn't want to call Captain Britain because she's working in American products. So Captain Carter is fine. And she got the promotion. I think that overall it was an excellent show. I thought that they're showing development that she and Steve Rogers still have a connection despite the fact that she's now, you know, more brolic than he is. You know, the very fact also that he basically becomes, what is it? They call it the Hydra Stomper, or AKA Iron Man. You know, that he still is a hero at heart, regardless of what he is physically. He is a guy who will never stop. He's a guy who will always come back.
We knew he was a hero in the first movie.
We know that, but I'm just
power.
They're showing this.
How would they show him not having it? They showed it in the first movie.
They're showing us here that he continues on no matter what. And I kind of like that whole thing going on, especially with that relationship. But I also think that she did a great job. Some of the sites when she was fighting and using the shield. So what? She's using the shield. This is what
I'm talking about, the lifting.
The lifting of the
you talking about Cal when he was saying,
yeah, I'm talking about
was mixed up.
I'm slashing swords. I'm digging it in. You know what I'm trying to say? Using the 50 cal, your favorite, all that type of stuff to knock down Cal's madness. You know, look, I think it's a great introduction. That's what it is. It's an introduction. It did it pretty fast. You know, I would have loved to have delved more into what's going on. I think it would have been more time. But it has what did you say before? It's like a 25-minute episode. And I think it hit all the key notes. The movement went pretty fast there, you know. I was reading this thing about the director, I guess, and producer and the showrunner. They were looking at what story to do, and they were like pitching like Jane Foster becoming Thor, basically. And that's a comic that's been out a long time. They came out a long time ago.
But why would they do it? They're doing a movie.
Jane Foster actually became Thor, you know. So yeah, they're doing a new movie on that coming up. She's going to be in it. But I thought this was an excellent thing. I think Peggy Carter, as we've seen, like you commented on the TV show, we knew that she would be able to handle the power. She wasn't someone who automatically go bad or something. She was an investigator. She's a spy. You know, she could fight, and this just amplifies her. And that's why her and Steve were always a good match. You know, because there's so much alike trying to do.
John Walker was in the military. He received citations. He always made the right decision. He got the power, and he messed up. There's no difference between him and Peggy Carter.
Nah, I totally disagree, man. You saw before that he was the very beginning of the show that we had issues to begin with. Peggy Carter was pure heart. We know that. You know, she's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So look, what about, you know, what do you guys think about the new Watcher, Uatu?
With the voice?
What do you mean? What's new about him? It's the Watcher.
Yeah, I mean, is this the first time they introduced him to the universe?
No, he's in one of the other. Wasn't he in the Guardians of the Galaxy?
May have made some appearance there, but he's pretty much he's just doing the voice introduction and the intro and the outro at the end of the day. So no big deal right over there. Now getting back to this whole thing with Peggy Carter rocking the Union Jack on what's clearly an American symbol at the end of the day. Get your own stuff. Okay, if you're coming in here, you want to do something new, you want to do some what if. Well, what if you actually had an original idea? Get your own stuff at the end of the day. Stop coming over here trying to outcap Pat. Show us what you could actually do at the end of the day. All it was just a big reminder that Steve Rogers, Captain America, is a really hard one to top. Then come on, Steve Rogers is in the thing, and then they realize, we got to do something with him. We don't want to just push Steve Rogers out of the whole mix and everything like that. I know, we'll put him in a suit of armor. Oh, that's great. Wait a second. That's Tony Stark's thing. So somehow Howard Stark had an idea before Tony Stark did, and that's supposed to be Tony Stark's idea. So what's Tony Stark going to be doing later? Oh, wow, Dad left me this legacy, and I'm going to improve on it. All of the unoriginal stuff that comes from making one bad decision of putting Peggy Carter inside there and giving her the super soldier serum at the end of the day. Once again, great animation, but even better that it flew by. So that's good. It's good when something is bad and it flies by, as opposed to really linger like a hovering hurricane, just saturating the place, and the water just keeps getting higher and higher. That neck it's right beneath the lower lip at the end of the day. Just get out of here. Something original.
That's all.
That's all from the other guy.
That's all your personal preferences. That's all it is. You're not coming out with any constructive criticism of the show.
Not for you.
Where she was a good character in the show that came up. That's all personal stuff. We ain't even
personal stuff. I didn't say
we're not even going to entertain the madness.
So we're gonna. So pretty much, any character comes out over here now. This is an American character. Okay, and we just gonna come over here and slap a Union Jack on it now.
Yeah. Again. That was just something Clark.
Keep tripping over your response. You got nothing.
Wow, this really getting chippy.
I don't know why you're fighting it that much, but hey, Superman is not even from Earth. Again, he's an illegal alien.
There we go. We're down.
I mean, I don't want to bring that up. I was just throwing that out just as a reminder.
Nice try.
We saw that she came, but
nice try, not going to work.
This show is incredibly popular. People are definitely gravitating towards it.
I'm glad it's popular because I'll sell some comics.
I think. But according to the producer of the show, the showrunner, she's going to be a very important person in the whole overall narrative. This is what the producer is saying. So
we would have never got that. We would have never realized that except show us clips of the whole What If Avengers, and she's there. So we know we're going to be there.
Exactly. So that's what I was trying to inform you, particularly PD, that she's going to be there going forward. She's going to be.
I'm not really for the continuing What If story.
You haven't even seen the whole What If story for long.
Not even with the Marvel. Let's take What If stories and turn them into real regular Marvel stories, like Winter Soldier, Wolverine killing the Hulk, or what's the other one? Jane Foster becoming Thor. We already showed that she couldn't do it. They already showed it in the comic books that she's not worthy. So
did you buy those comics and read them?
I bought the comics where, not the Jane Foster, I bought the comic where, I read I actually had the comic where Jane Foster wasn't worthy. So let's call it a day. That's it. She can't just find it and be like, wow, worthy.
Run,
so you know what? We're going to go back.
The classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby run. Jane Foster is brought to Asgard because Thor is so much in love with her. Odin says, all right, let's try her out. I'm going to give her. And she's given Asgardian power by Odin. And he says, okay, but in order to live here, you got to pass the 3 trials of being an Asgardian. She fails each trial, each one. And then at the end of the day, she's begging Odin, please take the power away. I don't want this. I just want to be a regular person. Somehow that happened. And then years later, she becomes worthy enough to wield Mjolnir.
They retcon characters all the time. They retcon characters all the time. And you're still stuck in the 1960s thing. We're in 2020s. Are you real?
That's not. You're saying the retconning. That's not even retconning. It's just a character change. There's so much thing of the X-Men kind of Chris Claremont sort of writing, saying, "Oh, now this person is. We don't have to follow along with." The thing is like this.
Yeah.
There's other Jane Foster stories post her breaking up with Thor that she came back and she was a fun character. There's one where she comes back in the comic. She's hot as anything. The artist gave her a total body. They're in there. They have this connection, and he sends her back to her husband. And the next one is one where the Zaniac comes, and and it's almost a life and death situation. You can still do Jane Foster stories without her having the hammer.
Wait. And when were those stories? Was that in
Walt
the
Simonson
80s?
ran.
70s,
years ago?
70s, and then the 80s.
Exactly. And we're in the Marvel's taking certain
So
liberties.
what? You like
I'm saying
people
they're
live
taking
that long, they change into something
Of
else?
course,
Well,
they've
no.
changed.
See, your argument
Marvel
doesn't.
has taken-
Your argument
taken certain
doesn't hold
liberties with certain
anything,
characters.
Mars, because what also happened 60 years ago, the creation of Thor. So I guess we should just forget about that, right?
I'm
'Cause
saying
that
the
also
character
happened
can
in the
evolve
past.
over time, and we see that happening in a lot of other media and other
They're
characters.
not involved. They don't
That's not
evolve.
This is a
evolving. That's
what
just flat out
if
changing.
character, a what if, so you can do.
How
what
much
if-
did you evolve over time? Not much.
What
People
are you
don't.
asking?
I'm saying I don't know. I didn't evolve that much either.
I have
You still
evolved
wanna
very
take-
much. I'm a
You
more
still want to
open-minded
take over the
individual,
world. Hasn't
less
changed.
less likely to anger. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm a very nice guy now. Very, very nice guy.
Keeping
Are you
your
kidding?
demons in check is different than evolving.
What demon in check? We can't give him control. If not, he'll mute us. That hasn't changed.
There's no evolution in man. So when people say doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different solution is crazy, isn't that work? Every day you go into work hoping for a different thing and something it's always the same, especially you feel you're a monotonous job. Hence why people leave their jobs and go somewhere else. And some don't. They just come home and gripe. My boss says something to me. The change in individuals is very slight. It's the same like the idea of if true evolution is very slight and takes years and over time where we look at it.
Exactly.
We look at comic books because every book has a journey for a character, not just a hero's journey, but every book that we like a regular book has an evolution to a character because of the story that we have. But we read comic books and it's monthly. We expect evolution every comic, and you can't do that.
But the evolution, that's perfect what I'm trying to say. There has been an evolution in character. Daredevil is not the same, the Daredevil that was introduced in the 1960s. The Fantastic Four, we don't even know what they're going to turn out when they come out finally in Marvel.
That's not evolution. That's not
Okay.
evolution.
So what is that?
Okay. The best you could hope for that is just you're confusing evolution with progress. Okay. You're confusing evolution with progress, like many millennials would do, which is very surprising coming from you at the end of the day, as I had a much higher regard for you at the end of the day. Okay. But there's a difference.
Identify with the millennials.
That's I'm gonna throw a slight jab to myself. That reminds me of Cal saying when I said I watched Love and Hip Hop. He said, "Oh, I thought a lot more of you than watch like this." There's an insult somewhere in there, isn't it?
Very educational.
Hold on. I do got to chime in. You were correct about Shumagorath, though. I forgot the story. When you first see him, I think it's a humanoid, and then it's this big reveal that the eyeball with the tentacles. So you were correct on that. So for those of you watching, what if that we may have just seen the first appearance of Shumagorath?
But then there I have a problem. There I have a problem.
Uh-oh.
You told, from what we read in the comics and what you said, I remember reading the story, and one of the things I've been looking up is what's going to happen to the who's going to be the big bad against Doctor Strange in the new movie. Either it's going to be Wanda, or who wrote that book? The book of what do you call that?
The Darkhold.
Darkhold book. Wasn't it Shumagoran? I'm not 100% sure who wrote it.
I didn't know that somebody wrote the Darkhold. I thought that was written by several different evil entities at the end of the day.
No, I think it's the power emanates from one entity.
That's the power, but Shumagorath wrote the book?
I don't know if he wrote, but whoever writes into the book basically comes into their grip, so their power. I'm not 100% sure. But the point I'm trying to say, if they're introducing a major character like that, and you have Captain Carter being able to cut them up left and right and come back, you're like, wait a second. Shumagorath is supposed to be like nearly God level like power, right? This is not a human. Even with super soldier serum, you're not supposed to be able to beat somebody like that. Am I right?
Well, yes, you are 100% correct. And we are also dealing with fiction where people will 100% do stuff that has nothing to do with any of the stuff that was established, unfortunately.
I mean, look, in a day, you can't have.
I mean, look at the things she was fighting against. Even if it wasn't Shumagorath, the idea of Peggy Carter just pushing it back in is ridiculous. That's just dumb at the end of the day. I can understand if she, if you could have come up with a different reason, but she's just physically powerful enough now to push this entity back in with all these tentacles.
That I do agree with you. I do agree with you there. You see, I can agree with you on that. That I was like, what? That's a little bit, but I suspensive disbelief. But if you tell me that's Shumagora, then that's a whole nother level. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like one, you're fighting back this Hydra creature and you're pushing it back. But if you're pushing back Shumagora, who's really powerful, who magic and evil is like, it's a different level of power. One is physical and the other one is physical and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, he's a guy who fights Doctor Strange, so you're not necessarily in the same level of power. So that would be a problem if that's the case. And I hope that was not the introduction of Shumagora into the universe. So I kind of think they kind of had something similar in Suicide Squad.
Well, not similar. It's the exact same thing.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Like,
the big alien monster. It's the same thing.
I know.
Well, the unstoppable monster being stopped in 2 seconds. Somehow all the tentacles are wrapped into one little place. It's like, yo, just wrap around.
It's not like we're getting, these are like Avengers level, Thor level, things that Thor would have to come in and take care of. And who's taking care of it? The Suicide Squad goes with no powers at all. And these guys are solving the situation of giant aliens with bullets and a javelin.
Polka Dot Man had something to do. But listen, we're digressing.
No, we're not. We're not digressing. The idea is like if something you have something like Starro and you stop them with, a rats roll up on us. Yes, it could eat away. That's a freaking giant monster. I don't care. You digitally can make the rats be that thing, but at the first couple stomps, as much as you control them, there'll just be a lot of dead rats.
But you have millions of rats. It's a difference. So if it's just one or two, that's one thing. But
come on,
millions of rats.
That many rats going. There's not enough food for that many rats.
Yeah, they're just not.
That's why Starro's the big thing. New York has millions of rats. They've already calculated.
They're not in. Look at this. It's not.
It's not New York.
I know, some fake country.
You need enough food for that. New York has enough food for that many rats.
So if you're saying Shumagora was in New York, if you said Shumagora was in New York, then not Shumagora. If you had the Starro was in New York, it could have worked out. That's what you're telling me.
I'm saying to you, all right. We're going here.
Using your logic.
I'm using my logic. You're gonna use me as a director. The first thing I would do was the same thing Perez did. Have what's Starro coming from the sky, but at the same time, that means he could be elevated. But then at the same time, most of the time, it costs too much to keep Starro around. So at the same time, you have the Starro mind conscious in regular people hidden away. That's what Keith Giffen did, where they were like, we had to find the central Starro, or else it's all going to start again. And that's the horror and the body snatcher, the great part about Starro. You get the big visual at one point, but then you're dealing with the little people with your friends that you can't kill. They're with Suicide Squad, and that's why it doesn't work as well, because they can just shoot and kill all the townspeople and not care. They can shoot the rebels, they can kill anybody. But in the superhero thing, they can't kill their friends. Or the humans. So with that said, that's my issue with that. But it was a cool visual. I will give it to them. I have to, as a kid seeing it, it's like they did make a cool visual. Even the gross part of it coming out of the armpit, it still was like, yep, however you can get these things on these people's faces, do what you gotta do. So I guess it's over.
So I'm just saying, we digress from What If once again. So hey, do you think this is a promising opening? I mean, the one with coming up with our boy T'Challa becoming Star-Lord looks very, very promising. You guys seen the trailers on that, Petey?
I didn't see the trailer on that. I just, I don't want to see the same story as the first one. I just want to see it lead to something else. So if we're going to do things with that, it's going to get tired having to do the same ups and downs, having the characters do the same thing.
What If is all about. This is What If is all about.
No, that's not what If is all about.
I've read tons of What If, and they have many times the same beat for some of these characters. Okay. So I mean, I don't know if you're reading the same thing as me.
Which stories are you talking about?
I have a bunch of comics. I have to go through them and stuff like that. But they
Look,
have.
look at the
Here's the thing.
Daredevil one.
If you want to do T'Challa as Star-Lord, okay. But so long as he never comes back to Earth and he never interacts with anybody who's like, oh, who are you? So on and so forth. Oh, by the way, did you know you're next in line for the throne over here? Did you know that? Because then it becomes, oh, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna become Black Panther, or you're gonna come? Nah, I reject my lineage. I'm gonna go out over here with the Guardians of the Galaxy and just have fun. And oh yeah, Killmonger, you do.
Well, that's the thing. If he loses when he loses the most powerful scene in the comics, when he loses his father and he fights for Wakanda, like even though in the movie it's different, he loses his father and then he's after Zemo and has a moment where he decides to not use vengeance. He decides to allow him to go, go to the courts and that sort of thing. And of course, that falls apart in the TV show. But that's one of the things that you had to remember, that's what you're losing. What's going to happen to Wakanda with him being gone? And would he make that choice when he, as a kid in the comics, basically they kept it open until T'Challa was an adult. But ultimately they have the sign in the comic that, hey, if his father was gone, he's going to fight for Wakanda no matter what. So you have to have a thing where, T'Challa is stolen and then you have to try to make it different, not just, hey, I lost my father and this person takes you in as a surrogate father. You got to play to the differences as much as you can and say, oh, how terrible this would be for Wakanda and the world. And everything goes bad. You have to remember those things in the what ifs, or else it's not going to be having it be good and then him come back and having a meeting, the characters and Shuri and all that. And but Shuri going to be the Black Panther? Oh no, it could go south. It could go south, but keep going. It could go south.
Shuri has been the Black Panther in the comics. Okay, I'm not going to go over this again with you guys. Okay, but
did you hear what I said? There's a moment in the comic books where he loses his father.
Yes.
And then he fights and he pushes back Claw. That's a powerful moment. And it's not, even though it's similar to many characters losing their parents, but having that moment as a kid where you have the kid sitting over T'Chaka and then he fights for Wakanda and pushes back with their own weapons. He picks up their own weapons and fights back. And he's been planning all his life to fight back and train himself because he knew Claw was coming back, and Claw came back with more power. And then with the Fantastic Four's help, he pushed it. That's a powerful story. You got to figure out how to take him from Wakanda, and it makes sense not just having a surrogate father because his father's gone, and why T'Challa would leave. And you don't want to just say, well, he leaves and then Shuri becomes that. Then it's like no point to it. Then it's like saying he's totally doesn't have any sort of point to the story. And that's what you can't, that's the most of the part of For a Nail, like the whole of the Shakespeare, like For a Nail, all this stuff happens. That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to say, oh, he leaves and then Shuri comes back. Shuri been running it and she was fine. You need to see Wakanda in disarray and that this and that happens. It's not supposed to be just, okay, we just switch, everyone put on a different outfit. You put on Shuri's outfit. You put on Shuri's panther paws, and everything's the same.
And so long as T'Challa is alive, it doesn't matter. He's the king. Yeah, you can put Shuri as Black Panther. T'Challa's alive. He's the king. Nothing can change that. He can reject it. He's still the rightful heir. He is the king. So then you still that's always there at the end of it. That's one of the reasons why I hated Shuri being Black Panther. I was like, no, he's still there. He's the king. But they wanted to do something different. Reginald Hudlin had no ideas, hated that run. So, hey, this is where we are at the end of it. But I am looking forward to seeing what else they do with What If. And, this one wasn't for me, but who knows? Maybe one of the other ones will resonate. And I'm selling those first appearances of Peggy as Captain America, so I'm making money. So can only be so unhappy.
I can't fight you guys. I just can't. I'm just going to say, everybody, if you're interested, if you agree with me, please put it in the notes. And it's only in the comments.
Agree with you.
Agree with me and the madness that I have to deal with on a regular basis regarding, I don't want to say regarding this whole Black.
Well, we will say that she will take a different, when she comes back to the present day and she finds that Steve Rogers is an old man, half dead, she is gonna go out and date, and she's gonna experience the world, have partners, and then when Endgame happens, she's gonna, you know what? I'm going back in time and have a relationship with Steve. And then Steve found out, wait a second, how many guys did you have in between? I've been with nobody. But anyway,
No,
you
she
know
should go back. If she goes back in time like Endgame, she needs to go all the way back and make certain that Steve gets the super soldier serum, because she was never supposed, that was never supposed to happen. So she needs to go and write it that way. No,
Steve
go
was
back,
not
make
bothered by
certain
her
Steve
having.
gets it, and you're cool. We got it.
Hey, you got a thing where that could be the true timeline, and ultimately she gave us the perfect timeline. You could do that. That's very Quesada, Jemis, like Morrison type of thing. Have this sort of thing where you do, it's almost a truth type of character, where it's okay, she did this, she went back in time, and she led us to, what did they say in the Loki series? What was our timeline supposedly be? The
Sacred timeline.
Sacred timeline. Thank you, sacred timeline. So yeah, you could do, that's very 2000s. So anyway, it was, that's the way they. I mean, what do you think they did? They did story. They did the truth, where they had the character before Captain America. They did the like the Bucky thing. Like that was the period where you did stories that kind of pushed away the classic thing that was the big thing for that time, and then they came up with new continuity. Bucky didn't actually heroically die; he survived it, and he became an operative for Russia and that sort of thing. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them during that period. So,
I mean, there's one thing too that I wanted to bring up before you guys put me on a whole different track and raise my blood pressure, but is that when they had that incident on the train, I thought that Steve Rogers would become the next Winter Soldier. Did you guys get that feeling too?
I would pray they didn't, thank goodness. But I didn't understand how he survived it. Oh, because he's indestructible. It's like, yeah, you're going it too far. What? Come on. Like, you can't just do, that's why Iron Man doesn't have a vibranium costume. You need him to get broken up. That's why it's cool not to have little bits of adamantium, Black Panther holding back the vibranium. There's this thing where the Wakandans just give Anthony, what's his name, Howard Stark, as much vibranium that he needs. Is BS. He's hoarding it. He only sells a small portion, and you can only use it for things of small this, that, and the other. You make whole planes out of it. You lose.
Not a whole plane. It's not a whole plane. It's not
it's the same difference. The thing that can absorb blasts. I can have that explosion happen. That train hit a plane, and it would destroy it totally. Right. So you make a whole thing like that. It's too ridiculous.
Wait, I'm gonna bring in the resident vibranium expert here, Cal T. Ellis, and he's going to tell you that no, vibranium rejects, the power comes in, it absorbs, and then it goes back out. So the suit is actually perfect. Thank you for that, Cal.
I'm saying how much amount to use that, like you're supposed to use it sparingly, and the Black Panther and the Wakandans, and at that period, I guess that's supposedly during the time where T'Challa's a kid. So there's no real what's it? There's no real vibranium thing that should be out in the world. No one knows it's there. The first person knows is Claw, so he'd have to have a connection to a terrorist.
No, but Captain America uses these shields, so he's had it since the 40s.
We're allowing it because it's saying, oh, vibranium. We're allowing it for this one thing, not for a whole suit of armor. And the armor in this, there's no armor in there. It's just a select thing. So I'm saying, yes, I had to concede to your point. Yes, they used that in there, but it's still sparingly. They didn't say, all right, now Howard Stark's going to have armor, or Captain Carter is going to have armor too. They wanted to have a throwback to Iron Man. They already got the shield. Now you're just going to make an indestructible suit with eye slits there too, right? Come on. The same one as Iron Man. Stop it.
That's why he shouldn't have been the Hydra Buster. He should have been Iron Man. I guess they went against it. Cal, thanks for that. Thanks for backing me up, bro. I appreciate it.
You're just trolling.
I'm
As
unsure.
usual,
Oh gosh.
trolling.
God.
I already knew you were going to start trolling once you started bringing up Shuri as Black Panther. I already
And
knew
that's
it.
Shuri. He started with the Shuri as Black Panther. I just made the correction on it. That's it.
What else could she be? What else could happen in this thing? We had to have someone rule Wakanda without, and we need to go terribly. And they're not going to have a woman go to, like, have it go terribly. And
We don't need to have Shuri at all. Shuri could have died in childbirth. You know, we don't need to have her there. This is what if. We don't need to have this character. You can
But
do
she's
different
there.
things.
She's there. You're saying you don't need, but she's there. So we have to deal with the character as is.
So kill her off.
Okay, so guys, is there anything else you guys want to say about
Not
this?
for
Other
this
than we
one.
liked it a lot.
We're not going to say that, but
Yes, we are. So I'll summarize for us once again. So once again, Marvel's come out
Peggy
with
Carter, please get your own stuff.
once again, Marvel's come out with a new series, and it's giving us a great introduction to the new multiverse that was definitely expanded or helped to start because of what Loki or the Lokis did. Spinnerack out.
out.
Spinnerack out. Spinnerack out.